You're listening to WKDW Radio 97.5 and KDWRadio.com, broadcasting from the Bishop West Real Estate Mobile Tower right here in, a little bit storm weathered Northport, Florida. We had a beautiful start to our day, and I now hear some thunder outside. So I know that we're getting some bands out of the storm, or at least the start of the storm, but I've got a very special guest in the house that is going to give us a live update. Jason, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, John, thanks for having me. I'm Jason Bartolone. I'm the communications manager and PIO for the city of Northport.
Awesome. So what's happening with the storm right now, and can you give us any update?
Sure, I'll give you all the latest, John. We've been monitoring this storm throughout the weekend. There were a lot of emails and calls going back and forth. The city works very closely with Sarasota County, with the National Weather Service and the National Hurricane Center, so our state and federal partners, to make sure that we're getting the latest information directly from them on the storm's trajectory and the impacts that we're going to see in Northport. So our emergency manager has been on those calls regularly again throughout the evening. Throughout the weekend, and will be throughout the evening tonight and going into tomorrow. We're looking at potential storm surge. I think that's the biggest concern right now for this whole area, and the impacts that might bring to Northport. Obviously, that's always a concern with our canals and our waterways. So we're doing a lot of preparation work to make sure that those are ready, that the water's flowing, and that we can handle the increase that we may see from the weather. City Hall offices are going to be, all our city offices are going to be closed Tuesday and Wednesday. So we can announce that with you right now. We're just getting ready to put that information out to the community so that our team can be fully prepared. A lot of us have emergency roles so that we can be active and ready to respond as needed and monitor the storm going into tomorrow when we see the biggest impacts from the weather. We had a sandbag station that was available. It's currently available now. While supplies last. It's right here at the George Mullen Activity Center near City Hall. And people can come by and get bags of sand, up to 10 bags per vehicle. We have sandbags and shovels and sand available. We've had a lot of people coming through already. So folks want to make sure they make preparations for their home and make sure there isn't any flooding issues impacting their property. They can come by and get some sand while it's still available. We'll make a determination tomorrow if that's going to still be available based on the weather and the availability of the supplies that we have. So we're working on that. We're also announcing that solid waste, including recycling, trash, and yard waste, will be suspended on Tuesday. So there will be no pickup on Tuesday. We're hopeful that that will be only one day interruption and we'll get back to normal after that. But we'll be, of course, monitoring the weather. We're asking people to take a lot of preparations at home. So just like you would normally for a storm, if there are any tree limbs, if there's any debris in your yard, near your home that can be picked up now, brought inside, bring in that patio furniture, make sure they don't become projectiles, obviously, make sure trash or debris doesn't get into the swales and cause flooding issues. So when we see that rain come through, we want to make sure that's as clear as we can so everybody can do their part at home to help prepare. And then, of course, we're asking people to just stay alert, stay informed. Follow the local media, stay tuned to WKDW here with John and the rest of the station, your local news, wherever you get your information from. Follow us on social media, our verified official channels from the city and Sarasota County, where you can get the latest information. The county's been putting a lot of updates on evacuation centers and evacuations for tomorrow, so you'll want to make sure you're following them. And of course, make sure you're getting your emergency alerts. If you haven't already, visit alertsarasotacounty.com. You can make sure you're signed up for emergency alerts, all kinds of information that's being pushed out. You can get alerts directly from the city. If you text the word NP Strong to the number 888-777, you'll get direct information and updates from the city. And make sure you have your alerts turned on, of course. We know that those can be annoying sometimes when they don't impact you, but this is the time you want to make sure you have them on and you're monitoring the weather, seeing what's happening locally, getting the best information so you can make the best decisions for yourself and your family.
So that being said, highlight a little bit about what you have teamed up with us at the radio station WKDW and how that's going to affect listeners here in our area and the local surrounding areas.
Sure, great point, John. Of course, we always rely on our local media partners all throughout the year, but especially when there's an emergency. You are the closest to people where they get their information and their news from. So whether that's TV or print or online or the radio. And we know the importance, especially, we went through it with Hurricane Ian, when everything else gets lost, when there's power down and when people can't get a cell phone signal, but they can still get the radio. Hopefully they have those battery powered radios at home where they can get live information, and WKDW is great about trying to push it out. We've worked since Ian with what we learned about losing other connectivity and just the importance of radio as a means for communicating with our residents. So we've partnered with the station, and we have the ability to go live directly on the airwaves right here from our computers here at City Hall. So we've been doing tests over the last few months and working closely with the station manager there to make sure that we can break in at any time if we have critical information or updates that have to get out. So folks that really want to stay in tune with what's going on, make sure you're tuned into WKDW. You'll be able to hear directly from us. Of course, we love our partnership with you, John, and your show. And
Absolutely.
you and I talked a bunch during Ian last time, and I talked to you right from the EOC to give you the latest information and updates. And we'll continue to do that as we can, as another great way that people can tune in and get the information straight from us.
And there was a lot of great information that was provided the last time, and I hope we don't have to go to that level on this storm. And working hand in hand with you guys over the last, I want to say 9 or 10 months now that post Ian, we've kind of gotten ourselves organized in a completely different manner than we were prior to Ian. Can you talk about some of the improvements that you guys now have in play with the relationships you've built out, and talk about how the citizens are going to be able to take advantage of that?
Sure. So not only our relationships with our local media partners are important to us, and they've always been important, right? Especially when a storm comes and that big storm is bearing down on your area, right? We hear from the big national media outlets, of course, the Jim Cantoris of the world, the Weather Channel. Everybody's wondering where he's going to go because it's a big national story. But we know the importance of the local media. You guys are going to be here after the storm is gone, and you are the lifeline to people where they get their information from. So having those relationships built with our local media partners is really important. So we always try to work hand in hand with local media, local reporters, local TV and radio hosts to have those relationships. So when we get to a really bad storm, we already know each other. We already have a relationship. We know we can trust each other and sharing information and ultimately serve the residents with the best information we can. We also have really good partnerships with our other regional partners on a communications level. So we have a really strong network in Sarasota County and beyond with our region among the PIOs, the communications professionals that I work with on an almost regular daily basis. We were on a call just not too long ago with our network, with our partners from Sarasota County and Charlotte County and Manatee County. So we're all sharing information. So when we get the questions that may not pertain to our direct residents here, we have the best information. We know where we can go. It's so important that we work closely with Sarasota County, of course, because by state law, they're the ones who make the big decisions when it comes to evacuations and issuing those orders and opening shelters. As you can see it right there on the screen, the evacuation centers, those are all run by the county. So it's critical that we're all speaking from the same sheet of music, sharing the same information, so that our residents, whether they come and follow us on our Facebook or the county's Facebook, or they get news from the radio or the TV or the newspaper, they're all getting the same information. We're not crossing channels, and we're sharing the best information we can so that, again, they can make the best decisions for their families.
So as far as people's preparation right now, what's the news directly from you at City Hall?
Well, I would say first and foremost, like we talked about, make sure you're getting those alerts, make sure you're getting that information. Make sure your settings are set. Make sure you have updated contact information if you've signed up for the Alert Sarasota County. Make sure go in there and take the time now to review and make sure if your phone number's changed or your email address, or make sure you're getting those texts and alerts, because they're going to become critical as we go on, and you want to get that information as it comes out. You don't want to be messing around with it in the middle of a storm and find out you're not signed up or you're not turned on. Again, make sure you're following us on social media. We all have verified social media accounts, so you can verify that it's trusted information, a trusted source. A lot of the Twitter and Facebook have a little check mark that verify that this is an official source of information. We know that it's only natural to go to our neighbors and our relatives and our friends on Facebook or wherever to try to get information and hear what other people are hearing. But it's like that game of telephone, right? The message can change as it goes and it gets passed along and things get out of hand. We experienced that with Ian. There was a lot of commotion and talk about a dam breaking here or there. And, it was a lot of misinformation and caused probably a lot of panic for people that didn't need to happen. So verify the source of the information. Make sure you're following the county or the city of Northport or the National Hurricane Center, the National Weather Service, to get the information directly from the experts who are monitoring this and making decisions that are going to affect you and your family. So that it's trusted information and you can decide for yourself when it's time to go or stay or where you're going to go. Make sure you have those preparedness plans in place. There's a lot of great resources out there. And now, while we all still have power and we're at home tonight, make sure you're going online and get it while you can, and make sure you discussed it with your family, your loved ones, so that they know where you're going to go, where they're going to go. In the event that we do lose power, you never know. And Ian taught us that, we might be without communication. Our cell phones might go down. And so we at least have peace of mind to know that this is the plan. We're all communicating. We all know where we're going to go and what we're going to do if the storm gets bad.
And I'll add in right now that the biggest thing you can do with this information that we're providing right now is to share this with friends and family and your community members. The more that we can get this information out to them, the more that you can share the texting and email alert availability that's out there, the more communication that can be developed right now and advanced right now is going to be the more information that people are going to be able to get at their fingertips. I can attest to the phone call. I got a recording. It was probably around 11:30, 12 o'clock today. Got the update, talked about the sandbagging area, gave me all that information. It is crucial to have that communication and know where resources are. And that's really what you're trying to provide, isn't it, Jason?
That's correct. The best peace of mind comes from being informed. The more informed you are, the more empowered you are. So instead of worrying and wondering and, stressing about where to go and what to do, knowledge is power. Knowledge is key. So the better informed you can be now, just take the time to go online and look and see, where is my shelter? Where is my evacuation center? In case I decide that I need to go. And don't wait. Have a plan in place, or know if it's a friend or a neighbor or a relative, a loved one that you're going to go. You don't have to go miles and miles away, but if you're near the coast and want to move closer inland and you can, you may want to think about that. But understand where the storm is headed, look at the weather reports, look at the information that's out there, and make the best decision that you can for your family.
Absolutely. And what we've learned over the years is that the most important part is preparedness at home. So make sure you have plenty of water on hand. The whole key to this is, can you survive for a couple of weeks until we get back up and running? And Ian proved to all of us that we should have 2 weeks worth of water and food and be prepared not to be on the roads and be able to survive in the comfort of our own home, or at least a neighbor's home at that point, because we had a lot of flooding the last time. So there are a lot of things that come with a storm that we have to kind of be prepared for, whether it is a tropical storm, 1 through 5 hurricane category. Be prepared, because we never know when it's going to ramp up. And the Gulf is extremely warm right now, and that is the the battery that's going to charge this hurricane over the next 24 hours, and we'll just have to see where it all goes. But hopefully, we'll get some help from Mother Nature, and we won't see a Category 3, 4, or 5. And I like those tropical storms to churn up the Gulf, to get that cold water churned up. But I also like no 3, 4, or 5 in our area. So let's pray for that 1 or 2 fast moving storm, get it on out of here, and pray for everybody's safety. But readiness is the key to survival. And everybody should be out there trying to get some water. Don't. I'm going to say this out loud. Don't be a hoarder. Don't take 20 cases of water. I pointed this out to somebody today, and I know that you're going to back me up on this, Jason, that within 24 hours, we had gas stations up and running after a Category 4, which was truly in anybody's expectation. That day was a 5, and now the federal government has upped it to a 5. That by itself, we had water being dropped off to neighborhoods. We really had resources going out to where it was needed pretty quickly. And you're not sitting in your office today, Jason, thinking, what are we going to do? There's a plan of attack already for whatever needs face our city. And can you kind of highlight that again?
Sure. Yeah. Again, our emergency management team here and our leadership are in constant communication with Sarasota County, who in turn is in constant contact with the state and the national levels. So when there are resources that are needed, there's a whole process already worked out, and there are contracts in place for providers of different resources that the city might need for the community, and at the county level as well. So a lot of that is discussion that takes place year round, so that we're not scrambling. And we learned a lot of that during Hurricane Irma with the response type of activities that are needed for debris pickup. And so there's a lot that goes into contractors and making sure that the resources that are needed are staged and available for the people that are going to need them. So a lot of that work is done around the clock, and we're not just turning our wheels here when we're a few hours out or a day or two from a storm. That work is going on constantly. So the best we can do is to always be prepared for whatever the situation is going to be and respond when we can.
And our website, talk about our website and why people should check us out for information and check out resources on the website and be prepared that way.
Sure. The website is a great resource for people, and it's got a lot of information. We've kind of retooled things on our website back during Hurricane Ian with the alerts page. So if you go to northportfl.gov/alerts, and you've got the link right there at the top in red, it goes right to that page. That will be the kind of warehouse for all the information for emergency preparedness and alert Sarasota County, like I talked about, and links to different resources that are available. But it will also be the source of all the latest updates that we have. So when the sandbags or when City Hall is closed or the latest city information, that's going to be a one-stop shop for people, that they can bookmark that page and go to that page. I'm proud to say that our communications team has been recognized both at a state level and at a national level with some awards and recognition for the work that we did and the information and the way that that site was presented and compiled during Ian. And so it is first and foremost a resource for people to go to. And then we share all that information on different channels and different ways with the media, with our media releases, social media, and press conferences as we need them. So all that information gets pushed out in multiple ways. We know not everybody has the ability to go online, but a lot of folks do. Almost everybody has a cell phone these days, and it's a great resource for people to go and to check back to often for the sources of information that they need.
So talk a little bit about the people right now who are supposed to be paying attention to evacuations.
Mm-hmm. So Sarasota County has announced level A evacuations tomorrow. And so those are going to be the lowest lying areas that are most prone to storm surge, but it's also the mobile homes and the RVs So if people are in those kind of situations and those living arrangements, they really need to be thinking and preparing on where they're going to go in the event that the storm comes our way as it's projected to. So that's been the guidance, and we've been sharing that information from Sarasota County. Again, they're the lead, and they make the decisions for a county-wide, and they've opened all the evacuation centers beginning tomorrow morning. So all the shelters, all the evacuation centers will open at once. They're all pet-friendly, and they're all available. So people can go to any of those. If whether you're in an A level or not, if you feel that you need to go somewhere and you feel that your home is not safe, maybe you had damages that haven't yet been repaired from Ian, as so many people are still dealing with, and they need a safe place to go, the evacuation center is an option for them. Of course, the emergency managers and will always tell you that it's a lifeboat, it's not the love boat, right? So, and you know this, John, it's not the most comfortable. It's not a 5-star hotel. It's a 10 by 10 space, and you bring what you need, and you're there with everybody else and their pets and their families until it's safe to get back home. So if you have another option that's more comfortable for you, if you, again, have friends, relatives, family members somewhere else that you can go stay and sleep on their couch or in a guest room somewhere that's not in a danger of the storm's path right now, that might be a better option for you that you should look at.
And I do know it well, because we actually during Charlie worked shelter. We did Irma in a shelter at the high school. There was no better place to be for that storm. The last storm we had, I would have to say that there was no better place to be than in a good shelter. If you're in a mobile home, if you're in a flooding area, don't stay. Just don't take any chances. Don't take any risks. One night in a shelter is not going to hurt you. People there do care. They actually are providing a good, high quality service in a short period of time. But I promise you this: you won't be around a better group of people that are trying to get your safety and think safety first. And I think that's the biggest scare to take out of going to a shelter. As far as pets go, they are all pet friendly. I can tell you that my wife was in charge of the pets during Irma and probably took care of every pet known to man, other than maybe a horse. I'm not sure if that wasn't even attempted to be brought there, but there was just all kinds of pets. Separation is a good thing of the pets, but guess what? They were taken care of. Everybody was attended to, and every need was met. If you've got a loved one that is needing health care, do not drop them off at the door at a hurricane shelter and expect health care to be provided. You need to come in with them. Bring their supplies, take care of them that way, because there really is truly no health care provided at a shelter. And I saw you kind of lift your head up there, Jason. Do you want to highlight a little bit about that?
Sure. The only thing I would pass along is from the county. There are medically dependent shelters for those that really need oxygen or other special medical needs. And they have a special registry program for those medically dependent individuals. Hopefully everybody learned during Ian, if they didn't already know that they need to register with the county, and they should have done that by now. And those folks have been contacted already to arrange transportation and arrange the medical needs that they have. So if you haven't, certainly contact Sarasota County if that's the case.
And truthfully, if you haven't by now, still go ahead and do that in this transition time right now. It may not help you today, but hopefully this storm is going to bypass us pretty quickly, and you'll be prepared for the next time. So information out is a good thing. Once again, just take it positive and do what you got to do to get it done, and then share the information, because the more it gets shared, I keep repeating this because it needs to be repeated. The more that we help our neighbors and our friends and our family members be prepared for anything that happens here, as a community, we're all going to have a higher success rate. So, and that's really the goal here, is to have a high success rate and low losses. So, Jason, do you want to talk a little bit about what people should do post hurricane or post storm Should they go out and be looky-loos right away, or should they let the city kind of take care of business?
Definitely leave it to the professionals, right? We all want to have that curiosity factor and see what's going on with our property and on our street and around the block in the neighborhood. But please wait for that all clear. When an evacuation order is issued, Sarasota County will issue that, and then they will issue an all clear once it's safe to return. And our crews need to get out there. Each city and county, we have crews that are the tactical first in teams, right? They're the ones that need to get out there and make sure that the roads are cleared, that they're passable, that the big limbs are off the road, so that, again, then our emergency responders can go out to respond to the needs. And that may have to be paused during a storm. And depending on the length of the storm and the strength of the winds, it's just not safe for them to be out there. So first, let those T-FIT teams get out there and make sure that the conditions are safe for our emergency responders to get out there. And then they'll issue an all clear that it's safe to return to normal operations and go back out on the streets. But if you don't need to be out there, always, please stay home. It's the best thing you can do to help the rest of the community, not just yourself, stay safe, but that the responders that need to be out there can respond and do what they need to do and what they do best, and leave it to the professionals.
And I want to talk about a little bit of our first responders, because the importance of heeding all these warnings ahead of time. If we have a lot of looky-loos going out and clogging up the streets, and access from the emergency team gets slowed down in that regard. Think of your loved one. If your loved one is across town and there's so many cars out on the street, that few minutes, the few minutes of response time matters in a lot of life and death situations. So please take a deep breath after the storm passes. Give the city a chance to get all clear. Don't go out and clog up the streets, because the emergency crew that we have, they're phenomenal at what they do. They're very efficient at what they do. If they mark a road closed, don't travel on it. You're just creating more havoc for repairs later. And I want to kind of highlight that just a little bit too with you, Jason, because we did have people riding along the side of the roads and going around the big dump trucks on Price Boulevard, which caused more damage, believe it or not, to the road. And it's already hard enough to put bridges back, but when you have deteriorations from people not heeding the warnings and actually driving around the trucks, talk a little bit about when a road is closed and why it's so important for people to stay off of it.
Sure. Well, again, as we learned during Ian, there were a lot of roads that needed a lot of attention. Price Boulevard being probably the highlight here in Northport. But there was a lot of repair needed, and our crews worked as quickly as they could to get a lot of those roads open. And several of them were open within just a couple of days or a week's time, which was really surprising given the amount of damage that they had. But those closures are there for a reason, and they're there for your safety. So not only the safety of our crews that are out working and responding and trying to get the road fixed and not be impacted by people being out there, but there are also dangerous situations and even a little bit of flood water that you might not see the pothole that's underneath it. This city has fixed over 1,000 potholes that were basically attributed to Ian and the erosion that it caused on our roadways. And so there's a lot of dangerous situations. And whenever you have flood waters, if there's standing water, we know, right? Turn around, don't drown. You hear that all the time because it happens. Unfortunately, it happens all too often that people get stuck and then they get themselves in a situation that puts our first responders in dangerous situation, or they're creating, again, more impacts to the road. Like you said, the road's already been damaged by a storm, and then you're just exacerbating that problem. So again, please just stay off the roads. Schools are going to be closed as Sarasota County Schools has announced. I'm sure a lot of workplaces may be impacted tomorrow based on the weather. And so if you don't need to be out and you're not one of those first responders, there's no need to be out there and put yourself in a dangerous situation.
So you brought something else up there, which was 1,000 potholes, and one of the greatest tools that we have as citizens to talk about things that are happening on our streets post storm is North Report app. Can you talk a little bit about that and the value that has with the city and trying to get the roads back to normal?
I'd love to. So North Report is an app that's really your one-stop shop for any kind of requests that you might have or any kind of service that you might need from the city, including a pothole that you spot, or if you see street signs that are down, or you see an area that needs mowing, or you see code enforcement concerns. There's a whole list of different topics that are available. You can download it from the App Store or from Google Play, whatever type of phone you have. Just look for North Report. You can go to our website, northportfl.gov/North Report. And you can there's a desktop app, so you can actually enter it right there if you're not on your phone. But you can go right up there, put an address in. You can add a photo of what you're seeing that you're trying to report. And we have a system built in on the back end that routes those requests directly to the department or the staff that need to get it. So you'll get a response right away acknowledging that we've got it and that it's been routed to the appropriate department. And then they'll be able to follow up with you on the outcome. And if once they've taken care of it, you'll have a ticket number that you can track the status. It's a great way to get it right to the person who needs it. I know there's an inclination to want to just call a phone number and speak to a person. And certainly we're here to help you. But the best way to get it to the right person in the right department that needs to know about it is through the North Report app. So we encourage everybody to use that, especially after the storm. We had hundreds of requests come in, as you can imagine, in the days and weeks and really months after the storm, with all kinds of requests that were needed. We know how widespread the damage was, and just the amount of street signs in the hundreds, if not thousands, that needed attention, and the potholes, like I said, up to 1,000 or more. So we know, hopefully this storm, we don't see that level, but we know there's going to be some impacts and there's going to be things that need our attention. And the best way to bring it to us, to get it to the right people, is through the North Report app.
So I'm going to bring some value to City Hall here real quick, because we've been talking about, or more value. How about that? We've been talking about the value that we have in play now because of the ready and being prepared and getting all of these communication lines open and ready to go on a normal basis. Now I want to take us behind the scenes a little bit, and I want you to tell people what happens within the command center in Northport, such as Hurricane Ian. That same communication system is up in play right now, I'm sure, where you guys are gearing up and being prepared for whatever you have to deal with. Can you talk about what citizens should feel comfortable about and how you're approaching that as a city, and how we're kind of like taking the bull by the horns and we've got our communications open throughout?
Sure. Well, just like we're asking people to make their own preparedness plans at home and make sure they're ready, that's what's happening behind the scenes now here at City Hall. So we're making arrangements for our staff that are going to be working through this event to make sure that they have time to get home today and prepare their homes, prepare their families, put up the shutters, get those supplies, gas up their vehicles so that they're ready to go and they're not worrying about what's going on back at home when they're here at City Hall. Many of us worked long days, as you can imagine, long weeks really here at City Hall. And I know for myself, it was in five or 6 days, I think, in a row. And many of my colleagues as well who were here at City Hall, much of that time without power, unfortunately, or a lot of power to the building, but trying to keep people informed and communicate with them. From my area of the world is communications, of course. And so we have a lot of systems in place to make sure that we have backup available, that we're in coordination, again, with our other partners, that our team, they all know their roles and they know that they're going to have to respond and get messaging out. We have a emergency call center that we set up whenever there's an emergency. So we have an entire staffing plan, and these are really employees from other walks of life and other departments, not necessarily communications, my department, but who are knowledgeable and may work in public works or utilities or parks and rec. And they know that their emergency role is to staff that call center. So even though City Hall is going to be closed, our city phone lines will be open tomorrow, as we expect, and that people can call in. We know people are going to call in with questions, with concerns, with looking for information, and we're going to be standing by to get them that information. We'll be coordinating with our EOC, that's our Emergency Operations Center. That's where a lot of the decisions are made, and the different departments have representatives sitting in the same room, working off the same information and making the big decisions as to what needs to happen with our operations here at City Hall and what they're hearing from the community so that they can address it out in the field. So we'll be in touch with them as well from a communication standpoint with what is the messaging? What's the information that we need to get out? What are the questions that we're hearing from the citizens or hearing on social media that we need to address from communication standpoint to keep everybody better informed?
So you guys at City Hall are not only preparing the city, but you're also at home preparing your homes at the same time. And I want to highlight this, and I know I'm pointing this out, and it sounds just a little uneducated, but City Hall workers are essential workers, aren't they?
Correct.
And so essential workers need to be on the road and not home with loved ones a lot of times. And they're there sometimes 24 to 48 hours at a clip. And
that's exactly right.
And so some of these things we as citizens have to think about under the duress that we're under now. Some of the problems that you had prior to this with the city of Northport, put them on hold. Think about the situation, because your daily job right now with communications, even though that's what you do, isn't it amped up several notches right now?
Absolutely. This is not my first storm. I've been through a few of these. I know I've been at the city here for a year, but I was at Sarasota County and the city of Sarasota before that. And so I've been through a handful of these storms now, Ian and Irma and other events. And it never gets easier, but we all of us, all my colleagues, have a family at home. We have homes to take care of, and we have the normal stresses that everybody else does, everybody else that you're feeling right now about storms that might be coming and what's it going to mean for me and my family, on top of our responsibility as public servants to show up and do our job. And for me, that's keeping residents informed. So we do the best we can. Again, we try to take time and make sure that everybody has that time to disconnect or to get home and make those preparations, and so that we can come to work focused as we can, ready as we can, have some peace of mind to know that I've got 2 little kids to worry about, and I got to make sure that they're safe. My relatives, my family, my parents are safe back home. And then I can put my mind to my task ahead, which is keeping people informed. And that goes for everybody here at the city. So we're very proud of that as public servants. And we all take that responsibility on. We all know it when we come here that we're going to have an emergency role. We all know what that role is, and we have a job to do, and we're here to do it.
Yeah, I've got 27 years medical. And when we worked at the hospitals, the choice was stay and work, or stay and work. So the option was stay and work. But we all did it with a smile. We all did it with care and really just a lot of love in our hearts, because we had patience then. It's the same thing that happens today with citizens. And the reason I wanted to start out that with, hey, forget your little problems right now. Those problems will not go away. Those problems can be reignited on Thursday. Let's take the next 48 hours and let's focus on safety first. Taking care of citizens around us, taking care of public members around us, and then really just giving City Hall a chance being closed, and not to burden them with unwarranted phone calls. Let's let the emergency phone calls get through where they need to get through, and get the staff really just any assistance we can give them across the board. And that would be my piece of advice. Do you have anything to add there, Jason?
No, I think you said that really well. We appreciate that. We are here to help, and we are here to serve our residents. So if you have a concern or a question, we are here. We will answer the phone. But our normal operations are going to be suspended. And so we ask for some patience and some understanding. You may not be able to get that building permit in the next day or two because our offices are closed, but we'll be back here as soon as we can. But in the meantime, we're going to be here to serve the residents through this emergency.
So let's go through. We've got about 16 minutes left. Let's go through the temporary closings right now. I know that STC, my wife just came home and she said we're done for the next 2 days. So STC is a shelter or a potential shelter. So I'm sure that Sarasota County, she works for county schools, so they're going to be closed down for the next 48 hours because of the shelter usage. So at least we can get that information out now, along with City Hall is going to be closed on Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. and hopefully open for regular business on Thursday with no harm, no foul. But let's talk a little bit about the preparedness that we have to be for solid waste and so on.
Sure. So once again, solid waste collection for City of Northport customers will be suspended on Tuesday. So there will be no pickup on Tuesday. That's your trash, your recycling, and your yard waste. We hope to be back to normal service on Wednesday, but we'll make any announcements depending on how the weather, how this storm progresses, how things are impacted. A lot of that is precipitated by the county landfill being closed on Tuesday. That means there's nowhere for us to transport that trash. So the landfill's closed Tuesday, and so our operations will be closed on Tuesday. But beyond that, we hope to be back up to normal pickups on Wednesday.
And I'll tell you, I ran into Frank at the store yesterday, and he can't wait to come on in October. So I'll just throw this reminder out. We got some route changes coming in October for the bulk pickups and the trash and the recycling. So kind of keep your eye out on the website, since we're talking about communication and upcoming things. These are important things to know when you put your trash out and there's a major change, but it's done with the best dollar in mind. We got the best guy up and down the coast as far as Frank Lama and his team, and I look forward to having him on the show and getting more updates about it. But I wanted to throw that in there since we were talking about trash and the bulk pickups. You guys got that down to a mad science at this point after Ian. So I'm not even worried about what should we be concerned about post storm. You guys really did your job and did an amazing job. And I've been giving you guys kudos across the board for that. And to be able to manage hundreds of tons of solid waste is amazing to me, how we managed that and did it effectively. So kudos across the board to you guys.
Thank you. And I think it was 2 million cubic yards, the final tally of yard waste and trash picked up, debris picked up. And by comparison, it was 50,000 cubic yards during Irma. So just to give you a level of how much there was out there. And so between our solid waste team, our public works team, and the crews, the contractors that came to the community, many of them for days and weeks at a time from other parts of the country to help us out and get that job done. That was a massive, massive lift for them. And they did a great job.
It was impressive. I'm going to tell you, it's impressive. And I know the one thing I know as a citizen, let alone part of the radio station and talking to you guys for 4 years, is that I feel more comforted knowing that we've been through a 5 and we handled that storm and we learned from that storm, and we've got things in play now that we didn't have before on the preparedness side, which just makes us stronger and better. And Northport strong, we've been, and the surrounding communities have been strong too. And I just think that as citizens, we need to give some praise out, give some thanks out, but also need to relax and realize we're in good hands. Stay off the streets, stay home, take the next 48 hours and just kind of be with whoever you're with and appreciate the time that you have with them, and stay safe. And just make sure that you're checking on loved ones and friends up and down your street to make sure that they've got enough water and food to last them 48 hours. And let's get through this bad boy. Jason, you want to add anything else there?
You said it really well, John. We like to say Northport United. We're a community of unity, and nothing really unites people sometimes, unfortunately, like a disaster or a crisis situation. And so you really see the best in people and a community coming together when you're faced with something like that. So it does take all of us. It's not just the city. It's the residents, of course, the nonprofits. What an amazing job that they did after that storm, and will continue to do, I'm sure, if we're impacted with meeting the needs of the community and all the partners that come to the table to respond to a crisis. So it really is that Northport United and Northport Strong that we talk about.
Yep. So we've got City Hall closed Tuesday and Wednesday. We've got Sarasota schools closed Tuesday and Wednesday. We've got shelters on the potential of opening up. So check out the website for those. You can check out Sarasota County for those. You can also check Northport City, City of Northport website for that information too. We have most of our elementary schools. The one that really stands out to me that isn't truly a shelter for people is STC. But the high school is rated definitely for this storm. I think we've got almost every elementary school is rated for a 1 or a 2 or above. But we're very safe right now. If you need a shelter, don't be afraid to go to the shelter. It's not going to be crazy packed, I promise you. But guess what? It's there for the people who are in a flood area. It's there for the people who are on the coastal side of things. If you need a shelter, safety first. There's no reason. I'll tell this story real quick because there is some value in it. They did an interview with two management members for Hooters on Fort Myers Beach before Ian. And they did not do a post interview after they rode out the storm. And that's because Hooters, along with most of Fort Myers Beach, didn't exist anymore. And everybody says, well, how do you know they didn't survive? Well, when you do 2 interviews with somebody preemptively, the perfect people to go back and ask is the people that you interviewed. And they never did. They never talked about them again. But Hooters never put out any information. And social media didn't either. It's not worth riding a storm out anymore. We don't know what's going to happen. You don't know where it's going to hit. A quick little story about the radio station. RJ's place flooded over in Englewood. RJ went to the radio station. Flash flood hit him at the station. So he had 2 locations, 2 flood outs. You just never know where you're going to go to. The safest place to go is where they tell you to go, which is an evaluation center. They're evaluation centers for a reason, and they're designed to take care of you and make sure that you're safe, sound, and secure. So those things are all part of this community sticking together, community with unity. This is not a time to think you're alone. This is a time to think that you're part of the network of the family of the city, and just make sure you take care of yourself. Do you want to add anything into that?
No, I think that's really wise words, John. And for the people who have been through it, and whether they made that decision or they made the wrong decision, unfortunately, and had to ride out a storm, you hear a lot of them say, never again. I never want to be in that situation, right, with what they've experienced. So take it from them if you don't take it from John or from one of us. If you talk to anybody who's been through that situation, they will tell you they wish they did not, that they weren't in that situation with themselves and their families. So, again, everybody needs to make the best decision for themselves. The government can't tell you what to do. We can say it's a mandatory evacuation, but it's up to you to make that decision for yourself and for your loved ones and for your home. And hopefully you're empowered to do that with some really good information.
And, we got the perfect picture up there right now. It says, don't wait, be storm ready. Well, we had a lot of people who were storm ready. I don't know that they were prepared for that storm and what that storm brought, because that storm brought 14 hours of rain, which just didn't happen on top of us. Everything that happens north of us, our watershed, we've talked about our 80 miles of canals over and over and over. We've done a fantastic job as a city keeping our canals open from debris and everything else. But with these storms, the one thing that happens is debris gets put into our canals, and that can cause a lot of havoc too. So listen, if you see something, if you're near a canal and you see a problem, there's nothing wrong with taking a picture and sending it on your North Report app and getting it over to City Hall so they can attend to whatever situation they have to attend to. So it's good for the citizens to know too that you have a way of helping the city without being on the road. That North Report app is huge to get information in. And let me tell you, I'm gonna brag a little bit about it because they give you updates about what you turned in. So it's not like you never know if it got fixed or not. They actually communicate with you. That's part of this communication team right here with Jason. It's really trying to involve the citizens in their city, keeping them up to date and current on what's going on, and then whatever problem is, making sure that they get updates along the way. So if you use the right tools, I'm going to tell you, you're more informed than anybody up and down your street. And the only thing I could encourage people to do, brag about the app, use the app, use any tools of communication with the city, and just talk about it, because this city is probably one of the best cities at trying to break that barrier. Because while we have WKDW, a community radio station, we do not have real radio. We have community radio, which is awesome, but we don't have a real radio station here that focuses on Northport, and we don't have a TV station that focuses on Northport, but we do have a city that takes great pride in trying to get as much information out to our citizens through almost every streaming device out there. Jason, do you want to add anything, highlight anything in that? We've got about 4 minutes.
I'd love to, and thank you for saying that, because communications is a two-way street, right? It's not just pushing information out. We focus on that a lot in what we do, but it's also engaging with the community and having this two-way communication. So whether that's me and you and outlets for people to ask questions, the city manager is out and about, and you've talked to Mr. Fletcher obviously about the different engagements that he's done, where he can go with his Northport United tour and talk to people face to face and build those relationships. We do it on social media. It's called social for a reason, right? Because people send in questions and comments and direct messages. And so our team handles those as well and tries to be engaging and engage with the community back and forth. Before this storm arose, John, we were going to talk a little bit about the survey that we have out now, but there's the National Community Survey. That was at the top of our webpage before we had to change it to the tropical storm updates, but you can still go on our website and find it, or on our social media. But we're asking the community over this next week or so to engage with us and give us some feedback. We do that survey about annually, and it's a way for us to check in and hear from people what matters to them, what they care about, what they're seeing, how they're experiencing the services that we provide, and how we're doing. And that feedback goes right to our city commission. There's going to be a presentation in October of the results that we get through this survey. We've had mail home surveys to citizens who were randomly selected so that we could verify that they are citizens, and we're hearing from people who live here. And that survey online is now open to everybody. You can go on there and take it at any time and give us some real feedback that we can use. And there's questions on there for me, even as a communications professional, about how you get your news. How do you like to be informed? We have a lot of different outlets, not just the website, social media. We have newsletters, email newsletters you can sign up for, and lots of different ways that people can stay informed. So we launched a new citywide email newsletter. It's called Community Newsletter, and people can sign up on our website for that information too, and get it directly in their inbox so they can read it at their leisure. And we know some people aren't on social media all the time, and I get that, but you can get a good compilation every month of what's going on in the city and get the latest directly from us and give us some feedback. You can communicate with us. You've got it there on your little crawl about how people can call us and email us. And we do take that very seriously. We want to be an open city that people can feel that they can come to. We're the government that's closest to the people, your local government, your city government. And so we want to hear from you. And that feedback really does matter to us, and we can use it to adjust what we're doing and make sure we're serving your needs.
Absolutely fantastic. And we've got maybe 30 seconds left. So keep this in mind that City Hall's closed on Tuesday and Wednesday. Northport, STC, the libraries, the schools, they're all closed. As far as I can tell at this point, that's the best news I can give you, because my wife is at least jumping up and down for joy. She's got 2 more days off. But and I hope nobody at STC doesn't feel any different than that. But take this time away from the workplace and be safe. Get your families ready. Hunker down. and get through this storm and help anybody you can after. That would be the best information I could give, but stay off the streets. But Jason, I really, for being the first time we were on the show together, I really enjoyed this. I hope we can do another show together and we can get some information out that we really had it scheduled for, and hopefully we can do that soon.
Sure, I'd love to. Thanks for the time, John. Really appreciate it.
Not a problem, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
This is John Rollins with Real Talk Radio saying thanks and have a good night and be safe. Drive carefully on your way home and stay off the roads. Let's let the city of Northport take care of us for a change. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.